I'll start the Q&A session. Nikhil, start the recording. Nikhil, I hope you have started recording. Sure. So, guys, welcome to Bug Bounty Brigade community session, and I am your host Sheikh Arif Ali. So, we have our speaker Rudra Singh. He actually goes by Rudra. He is a skilled smart contractor and a security triage at Immunefi, and he has a 8+ years experience in the field of bug bounty and cybersecurity. So he is also a Synack red teamer and a full-time bug hunter and Ethereum-based blockchain application security expert, DevSecOps enthusiast, and a speaker at ThreatCon and besides Ahmedabad. So over to you, Rudra. You can start. I hope, Rudra, I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, correct. So first of all, thank you so much, Arif, for welcoming me, and it's an esteemed pleasure of mine to be here. I did not expect a lot of people to come here and watch me speak. So thank you so much for coming and showing your energy towards attending my session, of course. So a quick, of course, Arif already introduced me, so there's nothing else to add on this. So I think this session was I wanted to held this session because I think there is a lot of myth in the Indian hacking community about Web3 hacking and their fears of going into Web3 specifically, and why to choose Web3 over Web2. So it is more like I can share you my thoughts on some of your questions, or how do you want to succeed in Web3, and how to approach targets and bug bounties specifically to Web3, and anything else you want to talk about. So just feel free, and I can help you with your questions. So just drop or raise hands. Arif, can you tell me which works the best, either the chat or the hands?
Chat works.
Okay. So liquidity pool hacking. So so basically, liquidity pool hacking is not something that is there is nothing such as liquidity pool hacking. It is more like price manipulation things, right? So it is very difficult, I would say very difficult concept to learn as of now, but it's more like price manipulation. So suppose that there are so first of all, I'll make you understand for the people who don't know about liquidity pool. So liquidity pool is a pool of some X number of tokens, right? It could be 2 or more than 2, but we'll stick with 2 tokens, right? So each of the token correspond to the price of each other. So what I mean by that, so for let's suppose that price there is a liquidity pool of USDT or Ethereum or whatever it is, right? So if one token has a quantity of 100, while the other token has the quantity of 100, the price goes 1:1, right? So it is equal. But if sometimes there is a let's suppose that some attacker takes a flash loan, there is a thing in Web3 that is called flash loan. So you can take a loan of X number of amount. It could be anything, and the protocols generally don't require anything in exchange, right? So in typical web, in general, we have to provide documentation and everything. But in decentralized world, there is nothing such as like KYC, right? It might be for centralized, but not for decentralized, right? So let's suppose I take a flash loan and I buy some either of the 2 token in a mass quantity. So rapidly I buy 1 token again and again. So in this case, the price of the second token will go short, and since I have bought a lot of token A, the price of token B will be drastically low, Now I go back and buy a token B in mass since it is very low, and I then sell token A again to balance the pool. So it is called price manipulation, and it is very concept like very advanced topic. So Arimu, I would suggest you need to go and learn about the other concept, like starting beginner friendly concepts first, and then move to liquidity. Because when I was studying, or when I was starting my uh, smart contract journey, I was pissed because it is very difficult concept to grasp your hands on, but it is yet one of the critical uh, aspect in Web3. And I think there are a lot of bug bounty write-ups available on Immunefi. If you can, like, we have our Medium on. You can search Immunefi bug fix reviews. We have this series where we post some of the quality write-ups of the bug submissions that we received over Immunefi, and we have some of the like mouth-watering amount of bounties that have been paid regarding liquidity. So you can go and check it out, I would suggest. So this again, Rohit, is specifically to Web3. So I'm not going to talk about Web2 because since I have moved on from to Web3 and I want to stay on the topic of Web3. Yeah, Arimo, I would. It could be anything. It is not something that we can stick. That it might be price manipulation only. It could be other thing as well. But liquid in general, when we talk about liquidity, it could be most probably by price manipulation. Oh, okay. That Arun. I I think this is a valid question to start with. So first of all, I can give you some highlights that I went to B sides and I talked to a lot of people since I'm not a very old school hacker in Web3, and I started my journey like 1.5 years back, and I talked to people who wanted to start with Web3, and but I had this like question every time: is it beginner friendly, or is it something different from Web2? But I'll give you my thoughts on both the questions. So first, starting with, is it different from Web2 auditing in general? So when you go in a typical Web2 security background, you are given a lot of source code, and you have to go like line by line, or whatever it is your methodology, however you audit it. And this is quite quite similar to Web3. You just approach your code base and look at it, create test cases and everything. So but the major difference between the two is like, here we are like, so let's suppose in Web2 we are just operating in multiple languages, but in Web3 we are given certain set of languages which work in a contained environment that is called EVM, right? So there are some special functions. For example, let's suppose I want to query a user's balance. So there are like certain functions that needs to be called in order to fetch the balance of a user, right? So understand understanding the EVM is very important. So once you get the basics of the programming something, it is very similar to Web2 now. If you understand the basic of how the container or the EVM works, you are going in the same path as simple Web2 auditing. It is nothing different. And talking about like difficulty of Web3, yes, of course, it is very complex in terms of uh, certain topics. So, for example, someone told, raised a question about liquidity pools. I never, like, before in my life when I started with Web3, I did not know about Web3. Oh, sorry, liquidity pool concept, but it is very like interesting topic if you know. So if you just target some of the core concepts. So for example, some of the core concepts includes like swapping. How do you exchange token? Does it work? Liquidity pools, price manipulation, and just take your focus to certain methodologies. Sorry, not methodologies, but vulnerability types. It is very similar to Web2. Apart from that, there is a myth that you require a lot of mathematical knowledge to get started with Web3. That is not true. I suck at maths. I hate maths. Not true, like not true, but it is like you don't need to be a professional to in maths, like a genius in maths to begin with Web3 hacking. Just learn Solidity. I find Solidity very easy to use and understand. It is a very small language. Like there is nothing typical about it. Of course, Solidity works in a weird way, but it is very easy to, I think it will take you around 1 or 2 weeks to get friendly with Solidity. But when you are good with Solidity and you go and just go to coin market cap and see the code of any projects, you'll learn how everything works, like what are some concepts and everything. Apart from that, the best thing about Web3, I could say, is that everything is public, everything is transparent. So what I mean by that, in Web2, when some company like when some company asks some other auditing company to audit their code, the audit report is kept privately and it is not shared to the public. But in Web3, it works the other way. So everything, whether there is some vulnerability or there is some audit report being created, it is sent to the whole audience of the protocol. Like it could be like the project delivers it on Discord, Twitter, or whatever, even upload it on their website. So everything is transparent. So there is ton of audit reports out there on GitHub or their websites, or there are bug bounty platform who public their contest reports. So there is a plethora of information that is already available to you. But I think there is nothing very fancy about Web3. Everything is available to you, like starting from learning Solidity to learning security concepts. Everything is available on the internet. You don't need any paid course or anything. And I think the best thing about these companies in Web3 is that they encourage you to go and learn. So there are some like every company run programs where they enroll you to, and they might even pay you to learn Web3 security. So there are like companies like Code Arena and every Immunefi, which have bug bounty contests and everything. So just feel free. It's okay to fail, right? Just start with Solidity, learn basics of Solidity and Solidity security specifically, and just go and explore some random code base. And it's okay to feel free, like fail. And then when the audit report of that projects come out to the public, you know what wrong or what perception you need to have in order to audit next time, right? So I think that is the best thing I can suggest. Just don't be afraid to go out, learn Solidity, learn the basics of Solidity security considerations, learn how each like one contract interact with other contract, read audit reports which are available on GitHub. And there is a website called Sol Audit. I'll just write it down in the chat. So it is something that I use very often. It is more like a database for all the reports that has been made public, like by multiple vendors. So you can just browse through all of the issues that people have found, and there is a plethora of information here. So that is something that I would definitely recommend. And moving ahead, to different question. Any good resource or course to start with Web3 security? I think the best thing I could suggest is that there is a course by Patrick Collins, and I myself learned from him. So if you go on YouTube, just search Patrick Collins Free Code Camp, and there is like a 24-hour course on specifically Web3. So it is not specifically targeting security. It is basically starting you with zero, making you learn Solidity, then creating unit tests. So uh, it will help you learn how to create and test smart contracts. And apart from that, it will help you learn the Web3, like the front, like creating the front end as well, how to make a website interact with smart contracts and everything. And it is one of the finest course that is available to you, and that is completely free, right? Why do you want something you like that you need to pay for when there is information available to you for free, right? There's no difference between a paid course versus the free course. Everything is remains similar. It is, I think, for like, which is the best thing is Web3. In Web3, generally most of the resources are free, so just don't go for paid courses or anything. It's up to you if you want to go, but I won't recommend. And enter the free resources. Yeah, talking about Web3 AppSec checklist. So there is a checklist that has been created by Consensus. So Consensus is a security firm for Web3. It is one of the top and one of the reputed company in Web3 security. So let me just send it to you on the chat. So this is one of the resource that I used when I was starting out to learn about some of the common practices that I need to follow regarding Solidity or smart contracts in general. Okay. Yeah, you got it right. So one of the best tool that I recommend to write POC when auditing is Foundry, because it is extremely fast, and it is because it uses like mainly Solidity. So I prefer it because it is very user friendly and extremely fast. So go for it whenever you are writing a unit test. Just go for it. And the best thing is that we at Immunefi we have this GitHub repository for creating POCs. So if you want to use if you want to create a POC for using flash loans, you don't have to write everything from scratch. Just use the template that we have given. So just search. I'll just link it down. Give me a second, and I'll send you. Yeah. It's called Foundry, Forge Foundry. And I think the best one of the like I'll send you one of the best resource that I used to learn from. Just give me a second. And also we have created, like, for the people who are very interested in learning Web3. So we have like compare it, like the similar concept for OWASP top 10. So for when we go for typical Web2 security, you have OWASP top 10, but we have our own Immunefi top 10 for Web3. So if you are wondering, okay, I want to learn Web3, but how do I get started? And I want to focus on learning some vulnerability types. So you have the list in front of you. Just browse to the website that I have linked in the chat and read out to different and the top vulnerability types. Research about it, and this is the best way to get started. So just don't have this like I see people who are very interested in learning web3, but they are like going and like they learned solidity, and now they are thinking, okay, how do I get started? Just don't be shy to just dive into any random code base, because I think even if you don't find anything, or you are just auditing some random code base for free, it is helping you to learn how everything works, how, or like basically testing your limits. You are testing your knowledge. So don't be afraid, just go out and do random things. That is the best thing I could suggest. And pick out any attack vectors from the given link, and just try to find it on some audit contest or some code, like random code base. It's up to you. Or just browse to Immunefi. We have lots of bounties. We have one of the biggest bug bounty platform. So we paid like the largest bounty ever, like $10 million. So it's very, like it's very rich in education, and Web3 is also very, it makes you rich. So just don't feel afraid to shine. And yeah, talking about labs. So we have same concepts. So in Web2 we have uh, DVWA, and in Web3 we have the same damn vulnerable DeFi. So if you want to test your Web3 hacking skills, so I am attaching a link to the same labs. So damn vulnerable defies a set of given challenges. So you have to find and solve it in order to proceed to next level. And I'll definitely recommend you to go and check it out. It's an amazing lab, and it's completely free. So just use it. And do you have any questions? uh, just don't feel afraid to ask question, because uh, RF is making a lot of efforts for you guys to learn and like grow. So just help yourself if you want to ask some questions, because there is an opportunity right ahead of you. Yeah, I think Rohit, that's a very good question. So I would say like 99% of the security work that we have in Web3 is more like auditing source code. So definitely you need to have some development skills. Like it needs to be typically specific to Web3 development. So I think it is extremely important to have Web3 development skill to even audit a contract. So if you are like in Web2, if you know about XSS, right, you'll just go out and explore XSS, right? But when you are given a source code, you need to understand how everything works in order to find a thing. You cannot like blindly go ahead and check out vulnerabilities in Web3, right? You need to have some context. Need to have some understanding. So just focus on development and then move ahead to uh, do you have any methodology for you? Yeah, so the methodology that I used for smart contract auditing is that whenever you are given a like a contract, I generally tend to use like I go through the code and I see how everything works. I understand, and then I go to Solidit. So I link the website Solidit in the chat itself, and just copy the line of code that I think I just have this intuition that it might be vulnerable to something, right? I just go out on Solidit and paste it and see what people have discovered, like similar things that people have discovered in the past, and try to see that if it is possible in this case. So this is my simple methodology. I don't do fancy things that use tooling or anything else. I just try to do manual things, because it helps me to understand things better. As we grow, as the technologies grow, you have to stay like you need to know how everything works. So if I'll definitely recommend going through Solidit, And of course, there are many automated tools such as Slither, which is basically you are giving them the contract code, and they are finding low hanging fruits for you. It might not be always low hanging, but there are lots of tools that you can explore. And also, I have a friend of mine who owns a company, uh, Sheets, and they have their own similar tool. So you just paste out code and it'll highlight bugs for you. So you can try and explore it as well. It's called Shields. I'll just base what language needs. Yep, Solidity is one of the language. It's so smart contracts are not limited to Solidity only. There is Rust and other languages as well, but commonly, like the majority or the dominating language in smart contract is Solidity. So just if you are getting started, just don't bother to learn Rust at first, because Rust is very typical and to get started with. So just start with small and then move to advanced. Basic development skills is enough, or do we need extreme level of coding? I think as the time grows, you'll yourself be at the stage where you'll consider yourself advanced, or like there's nothing as advanced, to be honest. So it's basically how you practice. So like I see people that are commenting this is a pro hacker, or this is some advanced developer. There is nothing as advanced or pro hacker. They are doing the same things, but more understanding the context what they are doing. So if you are like doing like if you are developing something, or if you're developing on a regular basis, right, you will have better understanding on how things work, right? So it is, if you are doing anything on regular, you will consider yourself advanced itself. So just focus on building small things, focus on learning small, like reading blog posts and reading audit reports. It'll help you become and go to that level. Any resources like try hack me, where resources and their labs. Yeah, I linked above, that is called damn vulnerable defi, code 59, so you can check it out. It is a very, very valuable resource. Any prerequisites to learn web3 security? Yeah, of course. So if we talk about web3 security, there is a definitely one prerequisite that you need to know how blockchain works, and of course the language itself. So if you are directly jumping to web3 security, I won't recommend, because majority of the things go over your head, because you need to understand what you are actually auditing before you actually dive into auditing the contract itself. So you do manual auditing, you don't. Yeah, so I use a tool in the context that whenever I want to create uh, some test cases or unit cases, in that way I use Foundry, but I do manual auditing. I think that works more better, because tools might miss the context of the contract. So let's suppose that contract is very simple, and this and some automated tool works very good on that. But whereas in contract B, it is very complex in such a way that the developer has used some different let's suppose that algorithms or whatever it is, like it is very different in comparison to contract A. So maybe the tool won't work, right, and you might miss out on the golden opportunity to find a critical. So just focus. You can use both of them, manual and automation, but I prefer manually, because uh, I think that works for me. Can you please tell us something about low hanging fruits, like which are easy to find? Yeah, so I think there's nothing. There are some vulnerabilities that are very easy to spot, and but I won't consider or say them low hanging fruits, but because even a small mistake in web3 can lead to a like a massive amount of loss in terms of monetary amount. So let's suppose that, so in contracts, so there in smart contracts there are functions such as transfer ownership, right? So owner of the smart contract is the one who deploys the smart contract itself, right? So let's suppose that there is a function called transfer ownership in a smart contract, and but it is not having an like an access control mechanism, right? So in Solidity we prevent it by modifiers or creating a check whether this who is initiating the transaction is the owner of the contract or not. So in that case, if you miss out of this situation, you are just, it is of course a low hanging fruit, because it'll take like a second to spot the bug whether the function is having an access control or not, but the impact can be huge. It may, if you are able to transfer the ownership, so basically you are having the ownership of the contract and the access to all those funds that are residing in the contract. So there is nothing as low hanging in Web3. Can you repeat the question? Yeah, I did answer that. Actually, I don't hunt basically on Web3. I basically am a triager at Immunefi. So Immunefi is a bug bounty platform similar to what HackerOne is for Web2, but we are specifically for Web3. So we do not basically do hunting. We basically review whatever you guys, your security researchers find us and help you get paid. Can a pen testing be done on Web3 too? Yeah, of course. There are. This is similar to pen testing, right? There's nothing. There is no difference between the two. Is DSA? Uh, I wouldn't say that DSA is one of the core requirement for Web3. Not at all. Can you share how you then became a hunter and get a job at Immunefi? Yeah, of course. Yeah. So talking about educational background, so I am, I haven't done like I would say like a very expensive degree like in terms of knowledge. So I did simple PCA just for the sake of getting a degree. But since I was in grade 11, I used to do bug bounty, and I did Web2 for like six and a half years on like focus my, because I thought Web2 is very interesting, and I love playing CTF. So like so my major focus was get into one of the top notch team, which I failed at that time. And I was like consistent with bug bounty, seeing like it is one of the fastest growing and one of the highly paid sector. So one of my friend Harsh Jaiswal, who goes by the alias Rutex Harsh, collaborated with me, and we used to do bug bounty for like 3-4 years together. So this highlights the importance of collaboration. So if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be in this position where I am very like in a stable position where I am learning what I love, right? So collaboration is one of the important sector. And how did I got job in Immunefi? It's a funny story though, because I was not getting private invites on HackerOne. So I started submit. I saw an opportunity of when Immunefi was launched. I saw an opportunity to get to be the one of the first bug bounty hunters on the platform and report like reports there. I did not know anything about Web3 in general. So in Immunefi, it is not limited to smart contract only. We have websites and application, mobile application and everything. So I reported like few of the bugs for web applications, and it got the attention of one of the higher employees of Immunefi, and he reached out to me, and I got selected. It was like it was pure luck. And later on, I loved Web3, and now I'm in Web3 completely. API key Web2. Sorry, I gotta skip that again. Web2. there is any certification in Web3 security that is recommended. I actually I do not think that it is extremely important to have a certification in Web3 security, because Web3 is extremely different to Web2 in such a way that you don't need a certification in order to be eligible to get a job or get a get into some organization auditing or anything as such. There's nothing as certification requirement for Web3. Like, if there is not a requirement, there is no need to do such that. But there are some certification, blockchain security certifications, all that. I don't know much about it, so I won't really had like got a say in certification as such. But I see people in Web3 are pretty chill, and they do like they care about your skills only. Like, if you are good, you are the guy, right? You If you don't have any formal degree or formal certification, they don't care about it. How do I manage time? I don't. I suck at managing time. But sometimes I recently got this habit of writing everything down, like in general, because whenever there is a feeling whenever you are done with something, and like crossing that task from your checklist is very amazing feeling to have. So write everything down is the trick that works for me. I suck at managing time, so I'm not the one you should be asking. Is Web2 bug bounty knowledge required to hunt on Web? Not at all. It is different from Web2 is completely different from Web3. But Web2 is a very, like, not, I would say, but it played an important sector in my journey, because whenever you have this feeling of, okay, I stumbled upon something, it may not be the vulnerability, but it could be anything, right? So I have this feeling, okay, it might be something weird, or it might be the case that I stumbled upon a vulnerability itself in Web2. When I had to I was hunting on Web2, I used to get this feeling. But when I switched to Web3, I similarly have this intuition. Okay, this might be something weird. I don't think this is intentional. So it is good to have some experience in Web2, but it is not necessary. How do you got selected as a triager for Web3? So I got selected for Web3. So Web3 is not limited to smart contracts only. So Web3 is also includes web apps, but it is more like they are interacting with blockchain. So you need to have web application knowledge as well. It is not completely like smart contract focused. Web3 does not necessarily means only smart contracts. So even the projects, let's suppose there are multiple projects that are having their website, and they ask users to interact with their smart contracts using the UI itself, right? So you need to have some knowledge of Web2 as well. If you are if like we have programs that are having web applications as a bug, they have web application in their bug bounty programs, right? So you need to have that as well. Is the Web3 have more scope than Web2? I don't understand the question. What are you targeting? Like, specifically, what scope are you targeting? How do you see in the next 5 years? To be honest, I think it is a very uh, rapidly growing space, and it is yet to get to the potential where there are lots of like right now it is still in the development stages, and we have been seeing a lot of things that have been developed in a rapid time, right? So it is yet very fresh, and it is like something we are finding very lacking candidates, like potential. So just go. It is like for every, I don't know, I'm not pretty sure about the statistics, but uh, for every other job, we there are very few candidates that are eligible for jobs. So there are like lots of space to buy, like go into them. I think uh, yeah, again, it's a personal question, so I apologize, Steve, for not answering. And I think I think they will pay in cryptocurrency. By the way, also, yeah. Congratulations, and I'll see you on the other side on the platform, Steve. Degree versus skills, which is more. Yeah, this is a very straightforward question. I think, of course, skills, which is more better. Like degree might help you in terms of getting eligible for like a specific job, but even though if you appear for the job, you need to have skills. So I think we hands down skills are more important for me specifically. Make you we need to start with three. We cannot find time on web two, so we can't find. I don't understand your question. Sorry, Rohit. Did you mean that you are more occupied to Web 2 side to focus on Web 3 in futures, which is Web 2 or Web 2? See, it is like a question that is like if you ask me, I would focus on web3 because I'm the guy that is like pursuing web3 right now, right? So if you ask someone who is from like still following the web2 background, he'll advocate for web2, right? So it depends on an individual. So it definitely for me it'll be web3, and sometimes like in the near future like everything will be like transparent to everybody. So yeah. Can blockchain be hacked? You never know. So both Web 2 and Web 3 will grow and update, right? Yep. Yeah, I think with the uh, as the time grows, we'll see a lot of companies opting for Web 3. So recently, if you, I think you might, many people might not know that recently even PayPal launched their coin. So I think people like companies like these big companies are taking interest and moving to blockchain. So I think it definitely needs have potential, but we need more potential in from you guys because you guys are very interested in security, and blockchain needs you because they need expertise, right? So just we are blockchain or web3 in general are looking for candidates, and you might help us to bring the better future. E- like Steve, that is again a very individual question. So if you see potential uh, in web 2, go ahead, just go ahead with that. And if you think web 3 is something that you like for example, I have been doing trading for some times, and I find web 3 beneficial for me, right? So it was very easy for me to make a decision from switching to from web 2 to web 3. But if you think that you are good with web 2 and you want to take a leap to web 3 for just poking around, right? You're good to go, right? You're not losing anything. If you're investing time to learn a technology, you're not losing anything, but you are learning something. So I'm, if you see my portfolio, I have been into binary exploitation, I have been into web3, I have been into web 2, I have been doing lot of things. I might not be the expert of any, but I have been trying everything because I think learning on something, and the knowledge that I gained from binary exploitation might help me in the near future. So don't afraid to go out and limit yourself to web 2 only or anything in general. Explore things that is helping you to learn new things, and it is good to have more knowledge and sticking to a certain field. Is there a tool? Or the Is there a tool to stop everyone? As of now, unfortunately, nope. but you can take precautions. Web3 mean, yeah, I would not comment on that, Steve, because statistics speaks for themselves. So just have a look at the stats and you'll figure out what works better. Anything in general. So in order to succeed, so I was like I did some stupid things back in my starting days. So I made a schedule that goes like I'll follow 11, like I'll learn Python 11 to 13 daily. I'll learn Liquidity 3 days. I'll learn Synack 3 days.